Come on, hit it hard. No, do a full swing. Do a swing. There you go. That's a swing. Easy. All right, good job. Hey everybody, Glenn, Red Dog Motorsports, and we are back out in the shop. And I've been talking about it, and we are finally dedicating ourselves to the RatRod. I'm behind, but I've got all the other projects kind of ironed out. The Red Dog Ram is at the point where, while it is 5 different colors, it at least is no longer a crash vehicle. Transmission's repaired, everything on it's functioning to the point that I can drive it as a daily. It is still a project, and we will still continue to work on it, but not a big deal. The buggy sitting right here to my left, you can't see it. It is working and running. I still got a little bit of tuning to do in the MAF system, but I'll get that done in the evenings and here and there, and it's ready to go for the June trip that's coming up to Oklahoma, to Rugged Mountain Ranch. So looking forward to it. But back to this. So first things we need to do, I have got to move the motor and transmission. I dropped them in the S10 location with the 350 motor swap mounts that came, and the motor is sitting 1 foot too far forward. So I'm going to have to remove the transmission mount, not use these motor mounts, and move it all back so it'll fit this body, the Jeepster body. It's behind you. You can't see it. I can. Moving the motor back means that the gas tank's not going to work. Well, actually, it would work with the motor and transmission location, but it won't work with where the axle needs to be. The axle needs to be a little bit forward from where I've got it sitting. I'm going to bring you in and show you all this a little bit closer. So let's get right to that. So before we get into axle location, let's talk a little bit about one of the other changes that's made. These are the wheels that came with the S10 frame when I bought it. They are a, what are they? They're a 225/70/15. They look like crap. They got a crappy offset for what I want to do, and just in general will not work. I could probably use the tires. The tires aren't horrible, but out with these and in with something better. So the overall height doesn't change too much. Oops. These are 165/80/15. Much narrower tire, little pizza cutters on a much better rim. I paid $250 for them, so a little bit out of my budget for what I wanted to spend. I'm still gonna have to figure out something for the rears. I want to go with like a 35-inch tire, 33-inch tire, somewhere right in there. Since these are about 25 inches tall, a 30-inch, a 35 is about right. It'll be right about where I need to be. So I need to find those so we can get the rear axle height set. But I'm waiting on the proper lug nuts. These require the shoulder style, and I don't have those. I just have the acorn or whatnot style around. So once those get here, we'll be able to get them bolted on. I've also gotten all of the new brake calipers, rotors, all that good stuff is done, as well as the bag system. So over here, the reason that we're having, the reason that we're having to move the motor is the way that the body that I'm using, the Jeepster body, works. The firewall is going to be set right about here, and then I need this point, the mating point of the transmission and the 350, to line up within about an inch or so of that. That puts everything in place in terms of the radiator, the fan, the radiator shroud, the rock guard, and the front bumper, all in the proper place up front of that. So not much choice in that matter. It puts the center of the wheels also in the center of the fenders, which is rather important for it to look balanced. Otherwise, the wheels would be tucked way up underneath. You know, if I put the firewall up here with this now, the wheels would be tucked too far back to the body, and one, it would impinge upon turning, and the other, it'd look really odd. And since I have an A-arm suspension style frame, I can't put everything out front like you see on a lot of rat rods. I'm not trying to build that style for this round. We'll do that on another one. All right. But from there, what happens, sorry. So from there, that determines where everything happens back to here. So in order to hit the center of the rear fender well, I need to be at like 101-inch wheelbase. I can be a little bit different. It doesn't matter, as long as all of that up there is working fine. I can be a little longer back here, a little bit shorter, just so long as I'm centered on the wheel well. But in general, that puts us at about 101 because that's what the Jeepsters came at. That being said, this rear axle, you can just see it here, is going to need to move forward from here to about in here. And obviously this, if you put this on a 35-inch tire, it's going to be up quite a bit higher. So I'm going to have to C-notch it somewhere right over in here, right in the middle of where this gas tank is. This is going to go away, and all of this area is going to have to come up a lot higher. That means I'm going to measure back to right behind where the rear of the tub jogs up to go to the rear floor pan, and I'm going to take that and go straight up with it, and that's going to make room for the C-notch. I think we're going to take this tank out. Yellow fly. Oh man, the yellow flies are out in force, and they are biting. Sorry, there we go. All right, fuel tank, I need to pull it out. I think we're going to turn it sideways and mount it behind the rear axle. Should have plenty of room. The reason I want to do that, I'd like to use this tank. One, I don't have to buy one. Two, I don't have to buy a fuel pump, unless this one doesn't work for some reason. But this has an in-tank fuel system. If I can use it, I can use all the fuel lines, the returns, all of that. It's already for a EFI motor, which I have. It just saves me a lot of time, a lot of money, all of that good stuff. But we do have to remove it, and then I will have to extend these fuel lines back to the back. But not a big deal. We'll plumb them up through the new frame, and we'll get them over. So, first things first, we're going to work on getting the motor removed, get it moved back to where we need it, and then we'll measure and build the new motor mounts and the new transmission mounts. So let's get to it. What do you say we bring you in and show you what was, what is, and what will be. Not so much for you guys, but just so I can remind myself where I'm at. So hold on here, let me bring you in. I'm showing you the old side first, just to give you some context of where we started. All right. This is the old engine mount. It was offset to the rear. Here's the typical 350 tripod mount or tri-mount, tri-bolt pattern, whatever. And then this originally was bolted to the frame cross member. Of course, I moved all that back and this won't work. Now, I'm gonna have to come off of the frame to there as we discussed earlier. But let me take you to the other side and show you what I've got set up. All right, so here we are on the other side. Here's those 3 bolts holding the mount on. Now I cut off, you know, because this was offset to the rear before, I cut off the forward portion, re-drilled the holes to get it aligned with the center of that. I made a new bushing. This is just 1.5" tubing. And then I made a standoff that's going to weld to the frame, and then I'll gusset underneath it down the frame, and that'll just solidify the whole thing, make it nice and solid. The reason that I've gone this route is the exhaust here has a ram's head mount, comes in, and the exhaust collector's right in this area, and I want to be able to grab it and go underneath, because all of that exhaust going underneath, grabbing the other side, is already built. It came with this motor. And I don't know if you remember, but when I took the S10 apart, I had a small little square race muffler that came with it. So in the interest of keeping under our $5,000 budget, I'm going to use it. And while it would be nice to do side dump headers or fender dump headers, something like that, or long tubes, it's just not in the budget at $5,000. So we'll do that. We'll just make a cheap system, and you know, after this contest I can revise it as I want, put any kind of header system on it, but for now that's what we're doing. So I'll take you through. I'm going to show you a little bit more detail on well, really I probably won't. It's really just cutting some stuff on the bandsaw and with the grinder. It's not that exciting, but we may get a little bit of that. Let's get the other side built, and then we can get it welded in and make the transmission mount. Hey, let's take a minute and talk about where we're at. So, got the motor mounts in. I need to finish the lower gussets. So, they're not the prettiest. I did a poor job with my cutting. Normally I would say not a big deal, they're welded in, they're gonna hold, nobody's gonna see them, and the paint will cover it. But in this case, people are gonna see it because we're doing the show and ain't likely to paint them. I may paint them, we'll see. But at any rate, they're in, they're gonna work. All right, so what are we doing? So down here, they're probably strong enough as is. But what I want to do, we're going to do some cardboard template, and we'll do a triangle in here and get ourselves just a little more support. We'll do one on both sides, and that'll just make sure that we don't have anything to be concerned about at all. So I'll get myself some cardboard, we'll get those cut out and in place. I do need to stop, I'm about out of gas for the welder. So need to go get some of that before I get halfway into welding and really ruin it. So I'll go get that, then we'll get those welded in. Then the motor can come back in, and we will be able to get the transmission mount made. I am waiting on the rubber side of it. I can't get everything finalized until that's here. So let's get on it. All right, we're back. All right, gussets are in. All in all, I'm not displeased with the results. Certainly could have done better, but I'm $0 into it. And you really can't complain about that when we're working with this $5,000 budget deal. So I'm gonna swing the motor into place. We're gonna drop it down. The transmission rubber mount part came, the isolator. So we'll be able to swing that in. I can start cutting plates for where we're gonna mount to the side of the transmission, or figure that out. I don't know, I might just use some angle iron and go to the bottom. We'll discuss that in a second. let me put you down over here, and then we'll get going. All right, if I did everything right, this should slide together pretty easily. I didn't move anything front to back. I just moved it side to side. Oops. We'll see how I did. Get my chains uncrossed here. Well, it looks like I moved. Something's moved. Tap that one with the hammer. Should drop right on. I hope. There we go. Sometimes this is a real pain in the butt to do when I'm working by myself. Alright, motor needs to come this way a little bit. This is real easy to do when you don't have anything in the way, you know. And I can just walk around it. It's gonna be a little more difficult when it's in the vehicle, I suppose. Alright, there's one bolt. Sorry for all the silence. See how this side lines up. Looks like it's just a touch low. Oh, that one drops right in. And alright, motor's sitting on its own. At least, depending on where you put that, it reads level. So I could wiggle it around a little bit. It can shift a little bit on those mounts. So I think I'm sitting a little bit crooked. We'll get the pry bar on it and go from there. Alright. We are basically finished with transmission motor mounts. Let me show you how the transmission mount came out. So basically just really simple. I'll move these wires out of the way. I just got some plates on the side. I used some nut certs to install them to the frame. Just welded the old cross brace in there. Actually, welds came out pretty darn good this time. And did the same thing over here. Of course, this is where the exhaust will go, but it'll work. And we just got the single transmission mount right in the middle. So let me throw everything in place, and we'll go from there. All right, everything's hard mounted. Let's take a quick look, see what we got. So, sitting nice and centered up front, lots of room. I measured, got room for a 16-inch fan in here. Not quite sure how much room I'm gonna have off the front and whatnot, but we got room for one. So that'll be good. We got cooling. Here in the back, we're nice and centered, should be nice and flat. Shouldn't have any issues with drive shaft vibrations. And because we will be standing on the ground, you can see we got plenty of room underneath. Unless for some reason I set that down on something that I didn't see in the ground, I shouldn't have to worry about damaging the pans on the motor or the transmission. Now, as a bonus, just because I like y'all, I'm gonna throw the front wheels on it, and we're gonna get a gander on how that looks. So give me a second, throw them on, we'll take a look. All right, not too bad. I didn't put all the wheel studs in it. But we're gonna have some nice wides, 35s back there, 35 1250s. So I've got the wheel spacers in it right now, just to widen the stance out a little bit. I don't know if they'll remain, but they're there. But we'll see. But that's it for this week. Next week, we're gonna get into cutting the rear out. I gotta get some metal ordered, but we'll get the C-notch done, or the rear end rebuilt, get it mounted, work on getting brackets, all that stuff on it. So until then, we're gonna sign off. Thank you for watching. We'll catch up with y'all soon.